computer. Cool, guys. Welcome. TGIM, another one down. How did we go last week? What did we apply from the last TGIM? That's my question for you guys. If nothing, then you will never evolve into the human being you can, because that's what causes the evolution, right? The application of information that stretches us and makes us do things differently and makes us develop as human beings. What's the definition of personal development? I know you shouldn't use the words of a definition in the definition. The word that you're defining in the definition. It's the only thing I remember from grammar in high school. But, it's developing personally. And the only way we can do that is outside of our comfort zone. Nothing good happens in your comfort zone, guys. You don't become the person that you can be there. And that's got nothing to do with TGIM tonight. I just kind of got on a little bit of a roll with that. So let's talk about what tonight is all about. It's about what do we call it? Oh, yes. So I'm doing the book I'm listening to right now is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's FOOK. And like a lot of this stuff in there is stuff that some of us do really naturally and stuff that some of us don't. And if you know anyone who's a warrior, know anyone who's a helper type of personality, these are the people that don't, because they stress about everything. And for me, I've always focused my energy on the things I can control. This is why I stopped watching things like the news and really start to, I guess, guard my mind against what I was putting in there. Reason being was, you only have so many fucks to give, really. And, there's a limit. And if you're throwing that energy out into things that you can't actually control, then there's nearly a waste of energy. Like, I'm talking external factors. Like, a lot of people are stressing about Donald Trump, right, and how he's doing things and whatever, from what I read a little bit on Facebook. But what's the point of actually donating a lot of your energy to that? Like, we're not in the US for starters. We're not able to communicate with him, and we're not able to facilitate that change. So if you're putting all your energy into that, and worrying about that, and I know obviously if they start bombing Korea, it's a joint problem, but that's something that hasn't happened yet. So there's no point worrying and putting all this energy into that. Or external factors in Australia, like, I don't know, like it being too hot and then it's too cold, or the weather, or the government, or all this crap that we can't actually control. So there's no point us investing our energy into it, if that makes sense, or a lot of our energy. And some people are just so concerned and they focus all their energy on problems and all their energy on the bad things. That's what, where focus goes, energy flows. So if you're investing your energy, that's what you're going to get back in from those things. You're going to get the worry, you're going to get the negativity. But if you're focusing your energy on things you can actually control, then you're going to get that back, and you're going to be able to actually drive your life to a point of where you want it to be. So, of course, stuff happens, guys, and a big thing about taking control of your life is responsibility. I talk about this all the time, and really owning everything that's happening to you. Because if you're blaming people for things, and sure, there's some things that we can't control, right? Like someone swipes us in the car. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happens to us every single day that we can't actually control, but we can control how we react and how we respond to those things. We can control, do we get really irrational? Do we go crazy? Do we chuck a big temper tantrum, or do we respond in a delicate way? Do we respond in a thoughtful way? Being the next, I used to run around and sell All-Star, and that was door to door, and that was really, really like nasty work, right? Like, some people would just give you a mouthful. And I always used to think to myself, hey, it'd be so easy just to return serve here. But then you kind of think to yourself, Well, I don't actually know what's happened in their day. They could be having the worst day of their life. And I've just come around and come to say hi with some enthusiasm, right? So they're looking for someone to take that out on. So what you can control is your reaction to things. And what you can own is your response. You know, like, for example, external factors like from a result perspective, just trying to think of a good example here for you guys. Let's say you go off the wagon a little bit with Herbalife. You start eating things you shouldn't, drinking too much, partying too much, etc. You're just going through like a rough period of your life, right? And there's two ways that can go, really. You'll get to a point where it's line in the sand time and there's that fork in the road. So what you can do, option A, and this is a responsibility, this is a response, and this is an internal factor that you can control. So you can go A and keep going down that path and see where your life ends up. Or B, you can say, nah, enough's enough. Get back on the product, start exercising every day, start working on yourself every day, and control that response. And the outcomes are completely different to your life. And it's the same with all the situations that we put ourselves in every single day. We can choose the path that we take. And that kind of relates back to our daily disciplines, right? Like what are we doing every single day? What are we actually focusing what we can control? We can control how many people we speak to a day. Like sometimes from a Herbalife perspective, what we can't control as much as we want to is what other people in our team do. And some of you guys who have team, even 1 or 2 members might be experiencing this. Some of us have more. And I'm telling you guys, the bigger your organization gets, and sorry guys if you're not in Herbalife on the call, I just use it because it's my passion. We just help people get what they want and that type of stuff. So, but in Herbalife, basically, we build a business of people and we help people get healthy. That's the underline of what we do. So with people comes challenges. And what we can't do is actually control what other people are doing as much as we want to. I would love to have every single member on my BizWorks in an event this month, but it's just not going to happen. I can't control that. What we can do is educate and empower, but at the end of the day, the responsibility falls on those people. Like we can't control that, but we can control what we actually do about it. We can control if we go, okay, well, these people aren't tapped in. They're not doing what we're trying to mentor them and help them, but they're just not living up to their side of the bargain. They're not meeting you halfway. So what you can do is find people that meet you halfway. And what you can do as well is find their people that are willing to meet you halfway, but they don't actually know what halfway is. They don't understand because I've never been taught, because everything duplicates, right? So with that being said, that's a response to where you can invest your energy. Or, option B is we can try to get 2 liters of orange juice out of an orange, right? Try to get more out of people than what they're actually going to do. Because some people just aren't going to do it. There's 17 presidents team in Australia. And how many members? Like some people just aren't willing to put in the work. So the response is, well, I'm going there anyway. I'm going to go wider and I'm going to go deeper and I'm going to just find the people. It's not a if, it's a when. Because that's my response and that's my responsibility to myself and that lives up to my goals. So it's that's the most powerful thing you guys can do is accept that responsibility. You are exactly where you are in your life based on the decisions you've made in your past. And sometimes they're not educated decisions, right? Like sometimes we borrow other people's opinions and we listen to those opinions. But the problem is we take constructive criticism off people that have never constructed anything. So it's like the blind leading the blind, Nelly, right? So that's, but we're getting too heavy here. This is like Herbalife training. So what I suggest you do is if you guys think of your energy that you can invest every single day, it's not unlimited. You know, there will be a time where you'll be burnt out. If you prioritize the things that are gonna help you achieve your goals and you solely invest your energy into those things, of course you're gonna have to do other things. You know, the other things, but those imperative, invest the energy into those imperative lists. Those things that are going to move you directly towards your goals. You know, that's a response, and that's your responsibility to your goals because they're your goals. They're no one else's. The other thing that kind of always baffles me is this sense of that people have of entitlement. Like people think that they should be somewhere where they're not for some reason, and like it could be in any aspect of your life. Like people think they should be in better health than what they are, but they're just not doing, like they're just not having a checkup from the neck up type of thing, and just not doing the work required to have that health result. So in the business, some people can be think they should be somewhere where they're not, and that the reason is they're just not doing the work required to be able to get there, or not being patient enough to see that out. So Jim Rohn always said you reap what you sow, which means you get out what you put in. You know, life responds to deserve. It doesn't respond to need. So you'll get what you deserve. You'll get what your daily discipline suggests you should get, not what you think you're entitled to. You know, no one, like unless you're born into royal family or something like that, most millionaires these days are self-made. Like they're not handed that. And you'll find that most people that are handed that lose it. Because they have this sense of entitlement that it's always going to be there, and they're not willing to do the work to keep it. So the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is independence and leadership. And we talk about a lot about what leaders should do and what leaders are, but we're going to talk about what leaders don't do. And for one, if you're writing this down, number one is I've got wait. Leaders don't wait. They don't wait for things to happen. You know, leaders make things happen. Leaders push the issue. Leaders don't wait 3 weeks leaders don't start on Monday. If it's Tuesday, they start on Tuesday. You know, if they want to, like if a leader wants to do something, it's happening as soon as possible. Because what I've found is it doesn't matter if you start, like let's use a business launch for example. Doesn't matter if that business launch is 2 days out or 2 weeks out, you'll have the same amount of people there because you'll put the same amount of effort in. It's just a matter of if you condense that effort into 2 days or 2 weeks. So leaders don't wait. They're not going to wait for things to happen to them. They're not going to wait and hope. You know, leaders get out there and take action, and they do. And they get what they deserve. Number two, leaders aren't reliant on others. They're independent. So your success isn't directly linked to anyone except yourself. In everything. If you want something, you'll do it. You know, I was on the tab team. Australia do a tab team call, so top achievers bonus. So anyone getting above gets on this call today, and they wanted me to say a couple of words. And for you guys who have been with us longer than 12 months, they're talking about bringing back the Why Herbalife, Why Now concept. And I said, this is fantastic. You know, it's a fantastic concept from corporate. But as leaders, why aren't we doing this anyway? Like, why are we waiting for corporate to put their hand out? Why aren't these things just running naturally? Like, what? Leaders don't wait. Leaders, like, this would already be happening. We're sitting in, some of you guys were at Wangaratta Lifestyle Centre. That's because the leadership there, they didn't wait. Like, they could be waiting for corporate to do it. Why Herbalife, why now, right now, like a lot of Australia is in Herbalife. The guys didn't wait. They're like, let's do this. Let's do it now. You know, 2 concepts of leadership. Let's do this. Let's do it now. Number 3 is leaders don't blame. You know, when we just kind of talked about this, so we won't dwell on it, but they don't play the blame game, and they're definitely not victims. Leaders communicate. So there's 2 options with the blame game. Number 1 is you communicate the problem with the person and sort it out in an adult-like fashion, obviously. Yeah? So that they won't sit there and just blame and just let this, like what I've found is with communication, generally, the longer you leave an anthill is the better chance it's going to turn into a mountain, and it becomes an issue. Generally, if there's a communication thing, the best thing to do is just hit it on the head straight away with open and honest communication in a helpful, positive way. So the other thing, if you're hanging around these people, is they, with the blame game, is depending on what the situation is, maybe you're just hanging around the wrong people. Like if you have to blame a whole bunch of people for your problems, hey, maybe they are the source of it, but it's your responsibility, once again, where to focus your energy on. You can get away from that. That isn't, you know, you don't have to hang around these people. It's your choice. It's your decision. So obviously associating yourself positively with people around you is such an amazing thing that we've spoke about heaps. So we're not going to go into that now, but it kind of filters into the next step 4, or what leaders don't do, is they don't listen to opinions. Leaders just have belief. You know, when people used to give me their opinion on what I was doing, I used to nearly, especially if it was negative, I used to think of a mental checklist in my brain, and some of you guys might relate to this. Okay, well, there's another person I'm going to prove wrong. Write that down. Or there's another person who's just not educated, and I'm not going to put energy into this person because I know it's a waste of time, you know? And some of us invest a lot of energy into the same people, trying to get them to our workouts, or trying to get them to our health scans, or to our shake party, or on product, or in the business, or whatever, because they have potential. And by the way, guys, potential is the biggest load of shit I've ever heard of. And I'll talk about that in one tick. But, you know, they'll invest all this time trying to convince these people to come, or you know, become a member or whatever. And when they actually realize that they're wasting all this energy on this person, and they go invite another few people, and those people come to the workouts, they realize that, hey, maybe this person's just not ready yet, or maybe this person's never going to be ready. But if you're investing all your energy into the same people that aren't showing up, even though it is in their best interest, then maybe it's time to invest that energy into other people, like new people every day, and just see the difference in result and the difference in flow of energy, positive energy to you, and the difference in your confidence because you're getting results. Like, it's so much more powerful when you're controlling that. And what I think sometimes as well is, from a personal development perspective, if we're talking to the same people every single day and trying to get that blood out of a stone, it's just so damaging for our mindset, because they're always coming and they never show up, right? It's deflating. So make sure that we're controlling that in our own brain, and make sure that we're wary of that, right? Make sure that we're thinking, you know, where we're putting our energy. Now, I want you guys to think outside the box when you're thinking of people with potential as well, because you know, when you look at sports, there's people that live up to their potential, right? And I'll give you some examples in a minute. And there's people that don't, because they're, let's say they're athletically gifted, or they're really, really switched on for the game type of thing, or whatever it is. But they never live up to their potential, right? Because for me, like, the true champions in anything are the guys that dig in. They're the guys that work hard. They work hard on themselves and their skills. And there's so many good relations between sports and what we do, right? Like like someone like Kobe Bryant, right? Puts up like 100 or 1,000 free throws a day or whatever he was doing, which is crazy. It's so much more than everyone else, and that's why he was the best, because he worked hard on himself religiously, like nearly as his profession, like improving his game, mastering his craft, finding his greatness, becoming the best version of himself. And yeah, sure, he had potential, but he was also like, I really feel like the potential in people is being the hardest working person in the room. Because if that's you, I can guarantee you guys, if you find the right vehicle and you can mix hard work with that and self-development and becoming the person that you have to be able to get what you want, like what is potential? For me, that's it. It's not looking at someone and going, wow, they'd be really good at this. Because at the end of the day, I'd prefer someone with desire, someone who's had a whole bunch of failure. The biggest buildings, when they build a building right, I'm not sure if you guys have ever popped to a construction site and had a look, especially in the city. If you're looking at a skyscraper, like a big, big building, when they're actually building the thing, they dig it in. So they dig a big, like let's say the surface is here, they'll dig in a big hole, right? So the biggest buildings are made from the deepest holes. Like the bigger the building needs to be, the deeper the foundation. So I think that's the same with people. I think the people that like have gone through the most crap in their life understand these lessons better than most. But these are the people that had that work ethic and that never give up type of attitude and that continue to work through this stuff. Like for me, I'd prefer someone like that than someone who's like a Harvard graduate or like a genius or anything like that that's not willing to dig in and do the work. And the reason why we're talking about work ethic so much is because that's something you can control. That's something that you should be putting your energy into. Like setting a standard next to people who you consider work hard and getting better than them and then lifting the bar. I was talking to Meg yesterday about, I think it was Meg, might have been Bobby, might have been someone else. I don't know. I was talking to Meg yesterday about the people who I got pinned with on stage on my way through the President's team. As I remember, right, it's only been 5 years. I still kind of kick myself. It feels like I've lived 20 lifetimes in my Herbalife 5 years. Seriously, the amount we've done, experienced, etc. But I still remember a guy called Lukey Vitus. We done active world team experience in Perth, like Meg's about to do, and he's still active world team. I still remember Chris. I don't know how to say his last name. He's Victorian. He's James Stavros' sponsor. I forget how to say his last name. It's like Italian or Greek or something. And, we got Pin Get Team together and he's still Get Team. And these are the guys who I was looking up to set my standard to. And then we got to the same level and I didn't want to stay there. It was time to set the bar higher, and keep working up to that and then set the bar higher, keep working up. Like Kuda, when I started, was Mill Team, right? And I was like, I am going to, most kids, especially if you grow up around footy clubs, wants to be an AFL star. It's just everyone wants to be a sports star. Well, not everyone, I guess, but I definitely did. First it was NBA, then it was AFL. Just wasn't that good or athletic or anything like that. So that quickly crumbled away. So when I seen Kuda was Mill Team, I was like, I can beat him. I can beat him to Prez. And I think I was World Team, right? So it's just, who do you set your standards to? That's something you can control. And then what I suggest you do is when you set those standards and you hit that level, never be satisfied, guys. Be grateful, be humble, but never be satisfied. Always find that thing that makes your fire burn so bright that you'll always be chasing. Seriously, what we're doing here, I feel like we're just warming up. Like I'm not satisfied. Now I'm looking outside of Australia, like now my goals are, now I'm at President's Team. I'm like, okay, had a look around the President's Team table at a meeting in Adelaide and I'm like, I'm going to beat all these guys at 20K. It's not that I am competitive, but It's just because that's the bar now. In my mind, that's where it's at. That's where I've got to be. So now it's time to work, right? And I don't know, with the current group, the thing that I can control is trainings like this. That's where I can put some energy into to hopefully help you guys raise your bar and help you guys get educated, open up some doors and that type of thing. But the other thing I can do actively in my business is work on myself. So go to the big events and learn. And I'm only telling you guys because this is like a roadmap, right? And then the other thing I can control is bringing in new people. No. These are things I can control in my Herbalife business and helping these guys bring in new people. And that's how I build royalty and that's how I get the 20K. It's actually not that hard when you think about it. It just comes down to doing your daily disciplines every single day and getting better, and talking to new. So that's like what I can control. I can't control what happens from a corporate perspective. I can't control the promos they put out there. I can't control what guest speakers they get. I can't control what a lot of you guys do. I can't control, like, there's so many things I can't control, but what I can control and where I can focus my energy is on those things. So that's just what you do. And I guess when you team that with a no problem attitude, of course, people are fun to work with. But, you kind of, like Jim Rohn says in one of his tapes, right? You have to find things fascinating. Like when you get stuck in traffic, you can be really pissed or you can say, this is fascinating. How many people there are here? It's kind of like a different mental approach, right? But guys, that's it for how I personally, I guess, monitor my where I'm placing my fooks, and hopefully you guys got a bit out of that. Do you guys have any questions coming through? I'll just give it a couple of minutes. Fire them at me. I know Belinda prides herself in this. Alrighty, what have we got here? Oh, yep. What were the title points for leaders? So I had what leaders don't do. I said leaders don't wait. So leaders aren't reliant on others for their success. Kind of correlated, right? Leaders don't blame. And leaders don't listen to opinions, especially from those who haven't constructed anything. If people are doing better than you, of course. Especially if they have an interest in your success and you trust them, right? But if people haven't done anything that you want to do, then I wouldn't be listening to, like, obviously you take their opinions on board and say, that's fantastic, but, I'm going to do my own thing. Linda Marsh, how do you determine has potential but a waste of energy? How do you determine has potential but a waste of energy? Can you ask that again, B? Am I misreading that? How do you determine has potential but a waste of energy? Yeah, Matt, that's just like a question mark thing. Okay. Okay. How do you determine who has potential but wasting your energy? So you don't have to be smart to do this. Just have to work on yourself. Well, like I said, for me, if it's a business, from a business perspective, I don't believe in potential. I believe in working with people. The way I determine this is I work with people who do not talk, right? Like people who are taking the action, people who I know are working, people who are tapped into the events. If you're talking from a Herbalife perspective, people who are And when I'm working with those people, they're not a waste of my energy. Because if people are willing to learn and people want to improve themselves, it doesn't matter where they start. You know, I've seen so many people fly through Herbalife and they started with not so much. And they started as people that they aren't now. Because if people are willing to learn, they can evolve. And if people can evolve, they can evolve into anything. So just most people don't give themselves the chance to do that. So to answer your question, I don't see potential. I see everyone as even. I see everyone as the same. But who I work with are people who are tapped into the system, people who are looking to help themselves. And there's a few simple things you can do to do that with what we do, right? And people who ask for help, of course, because if they're asking for help, generally they want help. That sounded weird, but that wasn't meant to sound smart-assy. That was a good question. There's a private question here. How do you get rid of people who have the negative opinions, especially if they're family? I wouldn't say I get rid of them. That sounds a bit mafia-ish. But what I do is I don't validate their opinions on my success. Like, I'm not going to let someone else's opinion become my reality. So what I do is use their negative feedback. There's two ways you can respond to that. Number one, you can get all shitty, upset, hate them, be where you're at, or you can understand where they're at, which is a lot less educated than you on what you're actually doing. So there's two forms of action. You can try to educate them. That might be like banging your head against the wall, or you can just put them on the I'm going to prove you wrong list. And I've always taken the second approach, especially with family and friends, because sometimes I think I'm going to focus all this energy into you, trying to prove you wrong, and you're just dug in and you're stubborn and you don't want to change, and that's fine. That's your choice, but that's not my choice. You know, I want a different type of life. So once again, you know, don't take constructive criticism from people who haven't constructed anything. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is to realize that some of your family haven't. I know that's like a bit of a slap in the face, but that's just the way things are sometimes. Cool. Cool. Is there any other questions, guys? Hopefully that answered your question, Mr. X or Mrs. X. I'll just give it like 2 minutes, guys, for questions, and then we'll bail out. Oh, it's tense, isn't it? Either it means I've done a really good job or a poor one. Oh, what's happened? I think Matt's got a question, or he's pointing up. One or two. Do you think leaders are the brave who just try things full on? I think that leaders, 9 times out of 10, a leader will jump and figure things out on the way down. Jump in the deep end and then learn how to swim, right? I just think some things you can plan and plan and plan and plan. Plan, no action, no growth. You get excited in the plan. There's different stages of excitement. I think there is when you're planning something or you want to do something special, right? The first one is the initial idea. You're like, this is fantastic, let's do it. So you're pumped up. Lasts about a day, maybe 2. The second is the plan. So you plan it. If you're not taking any action on it, it'll last about 2 days. If you've taken some action on it, it might last a week. But the real excitement is in the doing, and depending on how developed you are, the failure and the success. Some people just get hyped up by the success. Me personally, I get hyped up by both. Because if I'm not failing at new things and experiencing new challenges, I'm not doing anything different, which means I'm not evolving as a human. So I want new challenges, and I want new failures, and I want new things to help make me grow. So yeah, I do think leaders are the brave who just try things full on. And I don't mean things like there's different types of full on. Like I'm not telling you guys to leave your full-time jobs and jump straight into Herbalife, for example, because that would be crazy. And a lot of you have families and bills and mortgages and that type of thing. But you can do things full on with the time that you have. You might have an hour a week. And I'm telling you guys, I can get more done in an hour a week than most of Herbalife Australia. Like if I was working an hour a week, my business would still grow. Because what you do in the hour, you can create time if you're going super hard. You can turn that hour's work into a normal person's 3-hour day or a 4-hour day. You can do it in an hour. I know we've all done that before. I know we've all looked at a list, or most of us, I'm sure, and you go on, there's no way I'm going to get that done today. And by the time it's lunchtime, it's all done. Because you've had that mindset where you're not going to get it done, so you super hustle, and then it's all done. And it could be like planning for a kid's party. It could be like doing like a bong clean and the time's ticking, right? Because you're super focused, you're super prioritized, nothing else matters, and you're just getting it done. I know I can make 30 calls in an hour, and a few pick up. I know some people can make 1 call in an hour. So who has 30 times more chance of success? Then you know what I mean. So I think, well, that's what I think. I think you can create time if you hustle, and create time if you dig in and jump in and work things out on the way down. Like you guys have all heard the example with Meg, right? Like we literally she decided that she wanted to do a fit club, and I said, let's do it in 3 days. And we still had 10 people there. If we left it 3 weeks, we probably still would have had 10 people there. And now Wangaratta Lifestyle Centre's there. It's kind of like the thing that we've adopted the most is don't wait. Like I just think time will fuel your fear and it'll kill the excitement. And I know, if we're to launch this Friday at ALC, I know we'd have 30 people there. And I know if we made it in 3 weeks' time, I know we'd have 30 people there. Like it's the hustle factor. You can condense it or you can string it out. You could have 3 launches and have 30 people there, or you could have 1 and have 30. So who's going to be more effective? Or what's going to be more effective, So I just really think that it's about the just setting a date, setting things in, and just getting it done. That's what I think. Cool. So we'll just give it like maybe 1 more minute, but I'll endeavor to post this so you guys can ask some questions if you want to rewatch it. Alrighty, guys, let's finish up unless something flies through. Cool. See you guys. Have a good night. Happy TGIM.